Hey everyone, Giocast 38, welcome. It's been about 2 years since I started doing these off and on. Not as consistent as I would like to be. And I realize that consistency is like super important, like making a commitment, staying consistent, no matter what you're doing, what you're trying to improve on. Um, but these I do kind of for fun. So I don't want to beat myself up about it. And my team is always like, yeah, I should be more consistent with the content. With the geocast, it's just about sharing and not trying to force, doing things. I think that's important, when we're working on ourselves. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're forcing it, but it's really important to get clear on what your intention is, why you're doing certain things. So it's been real fun to kind of create these and share. And thank you for everyone that reaches out and will respond to some of the questions I ask or share similar experiences that they've had. And, as I turned 42 now, I just kind of felt, I don't know if it's down or unsure. And every once in a while, I kind of get into these self reflective modes like, oh, what am I doing? Like, oh, it's like I heard this amazing story on Instagram, and it was talking about the lobster, life of a lobster. And as the lobsters grow, they have this hard outer shell. Like many of us, we grow these hard outer shells to protect us. And eventually we start to grow. And in order to change, it's usually uncomfortable. And, the lobster will go and hide under a rock, and it's called molting, where, it'll kind of expand enough to kind of crack its shell open. And then there's this soft inner part that kind of comes out and expands and grows in a new harder shell. And it keeps doing this over and over and over again. And that feeling of discomfort's it's important because it's signaling that growth is around the corner. And so I thought, after going to the decision of shutting down Elemental and having to go through that whole process, although like there's a lot less stress in my life from all the things I had to deal with there, it wasn't the answer. I'm still feeling that there's something moving within me, that there's still more changes that need to come. And I see, like, now that I'm focusing more on this, the online business with Elemental Rhythm, and growing our facilitators, and so many people that coming into this community. It's like there's this demand to be better and to always do more and to try and figure it out, to change. And so it's like, okay, now we're just taking one thing and moving to the other. And one of my mentors, Alex Charfin, I'm going to call him a mentor, because I've always been looking for mentors. Like, how do you find a mentor? Like, how do you get someone to actually mentor you? Do you ask them? Do you pay them? Do you, you know, show them that you can give them value? Usually a mentor, it's the other way around. I've had a few, but no one like really long lasting throughout my life that's mentored me along the way. That told me when I was growing up, hey, maybe you should, do this or do that. It was always like figuring out for myself and questioning, and this whole process here, which I think is also good for growth and becoming self-reliant. But that constant questioning, he shared, this, he considers me a visionary. I guess I'll take the compliment, as kind of creating all these businesses, and how disruptive the visionary can be to the team, and how sometimes you just got to kind of sit back and not want to push your ideas, on others. And, I was contemplating on where that need is to try to, come up with the ideas and want it to happen right now. And, all of this, and how sometimes I might be blinded to see like that's actually disruptive to a business or in life. And sometimes it's better to kind of be patient and sit back. So it had me thinking a lot about that, and about how, a lot of these ideas, they may feel good, and you want to, stop a moving train and just implement them right away. But it's really good to really just sit back when you have that moment of inspiration, just really think, okay, is this it? And usually, like I've seen in times of plant medicine or breath work, it seems so real and right. I don't know if it's the ego coming in trying to check you and bring you back to comfort. Um, but it's been powerful. And, interestingly enough, around the week of my birthday, I had this crazy dream. And I'm not sure what it means, and I don't dive too deep into trying to make meaning. But I was like going downtown by myself to some event. Felt like it was downtown Toronto, and trying to find my friends, and went to these really weird kind of like club slash live performance slash party, very colorful, and it just felt so real. But I couldn't find, what I was looking for, and so I leave and I venture out, and next thing you know, I feel like I'm within an hour of Toronto, but I'm in like the desert, almost like a mix of like Burning Man slash Sedona kind of red rock desert, and I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm trying to find a place because that's where actually I was supposed to go. There was something out there that led me there, and I saw some people walking on this path, and trying to get over this kind of like cliff. And as I start to climb up it, I realize like this is not going to be easy to climb up here. And I'm halfway there. And I'm looking back. It's like, oh man, the way back down also looks challenging. You get stuck in this middle point, and it was kind of a metaphor for where I feel like, am I ready to go all in? Do I want to make, just this decision to make this the best breathwork company I can, this best transformational company I can, to really, when I feel the fear of like, oh, like this is going to be hard, just rechecking with my intentions. I wanted to help, people transform their lives, and I want to provide them tools and community, when you're really in that thick of things. And so looking back down, it was like, oh, I don't know. And I wasn't really even sure how I got into that place at that point in the dream, but I saw this one person trying to get up, and and it was an Asian man, but looked like he was from a different era. And as he's trying to get up there, I can see the fear in his eyes, and he slips and falls and tumbles, almost like one of those like Instagram videos you see where the fall just keeps getting worse and worse, and he tries to grab onto this, I guess it's like a wagon, like a handheld wagon. And as he grabs it, it starts rolling down the hill and tumbling with the wagon until he hits like a pile of rocks head first. And immediately I go into like an ayahuasca vision. Like it was like the craziest thing, like vivid. It was like a death. I'm in this kind of other space where I can see all these colors and almost like bugs, and it was weird. But I just remember being so vivid and being so present. And as I wake up, I'm kind of back on this path, but further along, and I've gotten over that cliff. I don't know how I got up over that hard part that was kind of, I was stuck in. Um, and I start going, and I kind of see like on this kind of hilltop, like all these blankets, like there was a group of people there, like almost like there was some sort of, plant medicine ceremony going on. I can start seeing their stuff, and I'm like, oh, should I try and look for a phone or see if I can identify anyone here? And as I'm walking, I start seeing a few people, and then I start seeing a few more people, and like we're going to this like main stage place in the hills. It wasn't a stage at all. There was nothing like that, but and I remember trying to talk to people and explain this crazy journey to get there and like what happened to me. And I was downtown and this cliff thing. And, within one sentence, each person just started ignoring me. Like they didn't want to hear this story. And the next person, I felt like I was trying to tell them, oh, this crazy thing happened to me. And, I don't know, like I got here and I saw this and I saw that. And like no one wanted to listen. Like they were there and they didn't care about stories. And, what came to me was like, yeah, everyone got there somehow. And so it didn't matter that how you got there. It's like you were there. And I remember meeting the most interesting people. Like I met this one kind of like an African prince, I guess is the best I can describe it. That's what he looked like in that moment. And he was making these concoctions, and he offered me a cup of San Pedro. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this guy. I was like, you drink it first. And he drank it. And I was like, okay. And then he poured me something else and gave it to me, and I drank it anyways. I started going on, and I went into this kind of like, it was kind of like in the forest, but it felt like, that dome in Las Vegas, like big, expansive, and there's all these people in there. There's kind of music, and all of a sudden, whatever it was kicked in, almost like the background here. Um, and there's just imagery on the walls, and it started, caving in and falling apart, and it was incredible and amazing at the same time. But I thought I better get out of there, and I kind of ran away and felt like I need to call someone or call home. And then I just was like, oh, maybe I'll just be here and just be present. And then I woke up and I was like, man, what a weird journey. And what came to me, I was contemplating it, is after, is like when I got to that middle point in the road, or wherever journey it caused me to get there, I had gone through a lot of hard things and scary moments, but I got there. whether it was past lives or other experiences, and you are where you are. And, it doesn't really matter how you get here. And the stories are good, and it's important to reflect on that. But it's not as important as being there now and experiencing things for what they were and not worrying about too much in the future. It's just really being present and not clinging to that story and not trying to like prove myself or say like, oh, like, yeah, we're all got here, however many lives it took. And it was super interesting. And now I'm getting ready to kind of go into this upcoming trip to Rhythmia, you know, in the next few weeks. And my intention is all about getting clear, and again, like, why do I sometimes have this fear of going all in and committing myself to these bigger visions? Is it like self-doubt? Is it like fear of being kind of locked down into something? Because I always put myself in these situations anyways. But it's really like taking that next step forward. We're building this amazing team, Elemental Rhythm. We brought in like sales help, and we brought in, all these things. I'm doing all this research, and I was actually lucky enough to be on a webinar the other day. And it's funny because, one of our I don't call them competitors, but someone I look up to in the space is Samantha Skelly from Pause. And, they have this amazing breathwork company. They've been around much longer than us, probably twice as long, maybe 10 years. We're probably in our fourth year now, third or fourth year. And, I actually met her at an event in Toronto and, led breathwork for her in a small group. And, I look up to her, and she was kind of like just sharing about, how they run their business and all the things, give me so many insights on improvements I can make. But the one thing that stood out was like, you look up to these people and you look like, oh, they have it perfect. They make this much money and they have this going on. But everyone is always pushed into growth mode, no matter where you are. It's like there's this push to continue to grow. And I think that's a metaphor of life. And she shared how just this year she was in this hard space and there was this pressure to evolve, and what took them to their certain level of sales and success is not going to take them to the next. And it was really good to hear it from someone else and know, okay, look, the things you're feeling, that's okay. If you think you look on Instagram and everyone's got this perfect life, it's not true. Everyone has their own things, and this growth, this kind of like lobster-esque growth where you got to keep breaking your shell time and time again in life. And when you recoil and you avoid and you sit in that, or try to numb yourself, you're not going to grow. So if you're in that pain or struggle or challenge or that bottleneck of life, it's important not to avoid it and to really kind of lean into it if you can. And it doesn't mean you have to move forward in the way that you think or that other people, but we have to continue to move. We have to continue to grow and grow in a way that feels good to us, and to listen to our intuition and to follow our curiosity. So I'm excited. I'm excited to start applying all of these learnings and to really connect with people. Sometimes I've had some resistance to the salesy kind of stuff, but it's like when I come back to the intention, it's like I know, when people become breathwork facilitators or take our training or become a coach, their life is going to change. Like maybe in the beginning they're not sure and they're in kind of that same spot that I'm in. It's like, oh, I don't know, like it's scary, it's different, it's new. But if I can help them make that decision, I know that I'm going to help them to change their lives. And so that's inspiring to me, and it's helpful. And so I'm curious, those listening, like, do you resonate? Are you kind of at a point where you're halfway up that cliff and are not sure whether you should go up or down? Another metaphor we have is the river of misery in our coaching training. You're on one side, which is the comfortable side. You can see the other side, which looks much nicer than where you are, but there's rapids in the middle, and it's scary. And you start going out, and as it gets more intense, you feel like you want to go back. You don't even want to sit in that. You want to go back to the comfort, the numbing, watching TV, eating junk food, smoking weed or drinking alcohol, whatever it is. But there's that importance of sitting in that discomfort, and then really finding a way through. And maybe it's not directly to the other side. Maybe it's going down the river a little bit and cutting across. But it's so important to kind of be able to feel those feelings and then push through to the other side. So I encourage you to navigate that river of misery, of discomfort, and really push through to the other side. But don't rush it. Don't feel like it has to happen now. Just really look at your options, think through them, feel into it, and then trust yourself. I love you. Geo, thank you for listening to this Giocast. And follow on Instagram, Elemental Geo, at Elemental Geo. Um, we're going to be launching some of this on YouTube as well if you're on there as well. So love you guys. Send me your comments, feedback. I'd love to hear from you guys, and have an amazing day.